Monsieur le Président,
Mr. President, my dear friend Emmanuel Macron, ministers of France, Minister for Research and Innovation of Germany, Cedric, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to be here today with you. As you know, France is my second home. The French language is a passion for me, and my heart was with you in the past days. And it's a real honor for me to be with you today for two reasons. Because first of all, because you, Mr. President, were the first one to to say that we really have to radically changed the way we look at innovation. You talked about disruptive innovation. You were the first head of state to talk about it, and talking about innovation that creates jobs and markets. One of the main problems in terms of innovation is political, because most of the heads of state and governments are not interested in innovation. But the speech you made at the Sorbonne changed everything. Now, all the European leaders want to talk about innovation. So what you say has the power to change things, and we can only be proud of you in Europe. And I'm also very proud and happy to be here, thanks to Cédric Villani, because maybe you don't know, but Cédric was our special counselor for science for a year. He really asked us to take into account scientific facts before developing European legislation. And he is a very brave man. He actually understood that in the world in which we live today, scientists also have a role to play. And we have to explain scientific approach and the methods. So this is a responsibility for political leaders, but also for scientists. And you were not, Cédric, afraid to lead this battle. And we really want to encourage you to continue. And I wanted to share with you today our European vision concerning AI, very briefly. You probably talked this morning about the different technological choices. Technology is at the basis of everything, as is science. But I think that we are in front of a major choice today. We have to make a political choice, because outside this room, many in Europe are afraid. They're afraid of AI. And a few days ago, I made a research on the internet, and out of the results I got, 9 out of 10 were negative. They were all panic-stricken. What is AI? Now, some time ago, I was in Lisbon, and I heard that we heard that two computers started to have a dialogue between themselves. They had to develop a specific language that they were the only one to understand. And people started to panic, and they started to unplug, to switch off their computers. But this was fake news. So the secret of artificial intelligence lies in the ideas too, and this is why we have to make the right political choice for the future of our children. I think that we have two main choices to make. First of all, in which way should we go when we talk about AI in Europe? And the second choice is all about algorithm and data. That is the raw material. So coming back to the first choice, we want that AI comes to complement the human mind. We don't want artificial intelligence to replace the human intelligence. That is the most important choice that we have to make politically. And your report, Cédric, is crystal clear, because you say that it's a political choice made by France, making sense out of artificial intelligence. And now it seems obvious for us. And I remember very well that last year, a few months ago, I was in Japan for the G7. I was with a French minister, and we were shown robots that really looked like human beings. And we looked at one another, and we said, no, that's really not what we want for Europe. I want my physician to be helped by artificial intelligence, but I do want a real doctor, a human doctor. When I know that 60% of the children going to primary school will work, will occupy positions and do jobs that don't understand, that don't exist today. We really have to create new jobs. And you, Cédric, made a recommendation on the transformation of jobs. And I think that is an essential recommendation, not only for France, but for the whole of Europe. Now, the second choice concerns data. And I think that includes two steps. Last year, all the ministers of science in Europe decided that we needed open data. And we have to open data up until 2020. But that was not echoed in the media. But it was one of the major choices made on the European level. And then we talked about the opening these black boxes, and Cédric talks about them very well in his report. And that's something which is really interesting. We all talk about some kind of race for artificial intelligence. But what do we mean by that? I don't want to be the winner. If that means developing biased algorithm and black boxes, well, that's not what we want, Europeans. We want to develop algorithms that can augment our capacities and increase the quality of their services. We're not here to find the best commercial ideas and impose choices on citizens. That's not what we want, Europeans. We want transparency of the data, transparency of the algorithms, and understanding what is the aim of all these algorithms. Now, a few years ago, when I arrived at the Commission, we talked about regulating data. And a few days ago, on the CNN, I heard, which is very rare on an American TV channels, I heard many specialists saying, well, Europe is really ahead of us. Europe made the right choices in terms of data protection. Machines don't have individual will. Machines are the result of the algorithms that we humans develop. And people like me who are really passionate about sci-fi remember the book titled Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And Ray Bradbury worked with Brian Sibley, and he said, you know, I'm really scared about robots. And Ray Bradbury wrote a beautiful letter to his friend. And he said to his friend, well, you're scared of robots. Why are you scared? Why not creating robots? I'm not scared of robots. I'm scared of people. Machines and robots will always be the result of people's will. That's what he said in his letter. And I say that we Europeans have a very clear determination. As you said perfectly well, Cédric, we want robots. We want to make sense out of artificial intelligence in order to better our lives and give sense to what we do every day. Thank you very much.